You ever think about the last time you'll ever do something? Last time you kiss someone goodnight. Last time you lace up your shoes. Last time you hear your name spoken out loud. Now, most folks don't like to think about that. We run from it, pretend like death is something that happens to other people. But let me tell you something. You and I, we are already in the process of dying. The question is, how are we living? Today, we're going to have a conversation most people avoid. We're going to talk about death, but we're going to do it with warmth, with honesty, and with courage. Because if we don't talk about it, if we don't face it, then we're not really living at all. We spend so much time trying to outrun death, pretending like it's some distant thing, something we don't have to deal with today. But the truth is, the moment we are born, we begin moving toward the inevitable. That's not meant to be a depressing thought. It's an invitation to embrace life fully, to cherish the moments we often take for granted, to love deeper, and to release fear. Imagine if we stopped seeing death as an enemy and started seeing it as a natural part of our story. What if we could face it not with terror, but with grace? What if instead of avoiding the conversation, we leaned into it? Because here's the thing, when we accept that our time is limited, we start making different choices. We start telling the people we love how much they mean to us. We begin living not out of obligation, but out of purpose. Alua Arthur has spent years sitting with people in their final days. She's witnessed firsthand how people approach death, those who fear it, those who embrace it, those who wish they had lived differently. And through those experiences, she's learned something powerful, that death, when faced with open arms, can be as beautiful as birth. It can be a transition filled with love, peace, and even joy. So the question is, are we brave enough to embrace it? Because the more we accept death, the more we learn how to truly live. Most people have heard of birth doulas, those who guide families through the beginning of life. But what about the other side of that journey? What about the moment when life is preparing to say goodbye? That's where a death doula steps in. A death doula, like Alua Arthur, serves as a bridge between life and death, helping people face the end with peace, dignity, and clarity. It's not about fearing death, it's about preparing for it with the same care and intention that we bring to the most important moments in life. They provide emotional support, facilitate deep and meaningful conversations, and help individuals and their loved ones navigate the uncertainties that come with dying. Some people might think, why would anyone want to sit with the dying? But the truth is, being present for someone's final moments is one of the most profound acts of love. It's not just about comfort. It's about making sure that nothing is left unsaid, that regrets don't weigh heavier than love, and that people transition with a sense of completion. Death doulas help us ask the hard questions before it's too late. What really matters? How do you want to be remembered? What do you need to let go of? They remind us that we don't have to die alone, afraid, or unprepared. Instead, we can face death in a way that reflects the life we've lived with courage, with grace, and with open hearts. For most of us, death is the one conversation we avoid at all costs. It's uncomfortable, even frightening. We act as if speaking about it might somehow invite it closer. But here's the irony. By refusing to talk about death, we actually give it more power over us. We let fear dictate our lives, leaving important things unsaid, avoiding the truth, and pretending like we have all the time in the world. But what if we flipped the script? What if we started talking about death the way we talk about love, about dreams, about the things that shape us? Because whether we acknowledge it or not, death is shaping us every single day. It's the reason we rush to chase our goals, the reason we hold on tightly to the people we love, the reason we feel the urgency to make an impact. In cultures around the world, death is honored and spoken about openly. In some traditions, families celebrate a person's transition instead of mourning it in silence, but in many parts of the modern world, we hide it away, push it into hospitals, whisper about it in hushed tones. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of one of life's most profound experiences, the chance to prepare, to reflect, and to make peace with our mortality. Alua Arthur challenges us to break that silence. She believes that by talking about death, we can change how we experience life. Instead of living in denial, we can live with awareness. Instead of avoiding conversations, we can embrace them. And instead of fearing death, we can meet it with acceptance, knowing that we have lived fully, loved deeply, and left nothing unresolved. Think about how differently you would live if you knew exactly when your time would run out. Would you still hold grudges? Would you waste time on things that don't matter? Would you keep putting off your dreams, assuming you'll always have more time? The reality is, we don't know when our last moment will come. And yet, so many of us live as if we're promised forever. We get caught up in routines and stress and chasing things that in the end won't even matter. But when you truly accept that one day, maybe sooner than you think, it all comes to an end, something shifts. Suddenly, you start making choices differently. You love harder. You forgive faster. You focus on what truly matters. This is what Alua Arthur teaches, that death is not just an ending, it's a wake-up call for how we live. The people she's worked with, those who are facing their final days, often have the clearest perspective on life. They don't worry about the small things. They don't care about status or material possessions. What matters to them is simple. Did I love enough? Did I express gratitude? Did I make the most of my time? And here's the thing. We don't have to wait until the end to ask these questions. We can start now, because the sooner we accept that death is real, the sooner we can start truly living. At the end of it all, what will remain of us? Not the money, not the titles, not the things we spent years chasing. What remains is the love we gave, the lives we touched, and the stories people tell about us when we're gone. Too often, we live without thinking about the mark we leave behind. We assume there will always be more time to fix broken relationships, to say the words we've been holding back, to finally start living the way we want. But life doesn't work like that. Time moves whether we're ready or not. And if we don't take control of our story, we risk leaving this world with unfinished business. Alua Arthur has spent time with people in their final moments, and there's one thing she's seen over and over: regret. Regret for the things left unsaid. Regret for waiting too long to live fully. Regret for not being present in the moments that mattered most. But she's also seen something else: peace. People who have made their amends, who have said their goodbyes with love, who have left nothing unresolved. Those are the people who pass on without fear, knowing they lived a life they can be proud of. And that's the real question. What kind of story will we leave behind? Will it be one of hesitation, fear, and missed opportunities? Or will it be a story of courage, of love, of a life that was truly lived? The choice is ours, and the time to make it is now. Death is often seen as something dark, something to be feared, but what if it's actually one of the greatest teachers we have? Facing mortality forces us to ask the big questions. What was my purpose? What did my life mean? These questions can feel overwhelming, but they hold the key to a deeper, more intentional way of living. Alua Arthur believes that death isn't just about loss, it's about reflection. It's about recognizing the impact we've made, the love we've shared, and the lessons we've learned along the way. When people know they are at the end of their journey, they don't focus on their bank accounts or the things they own. They reflect on the moments that mattered, the laughter, the kindness, the relationships that gave life meaning. Instead of fearing the end, we can embrace it as a moment of truth, a moment that asks us, did we live well? Did we love fully? Did we make a difference? Because in the end, it's not about how long we live, but how deeply. We all leave something behind. Whether we realize it or not, our actions, our words, and the way we treat people will live on long after we're gone. The question is, what kind of legacy are we building? Many people think of legacy as something reserved for the rich and famous, for people with buildings named after them or books written in their honor. But legacy is much simpler than that. It's the way we made people feel. It's the small kindnesses, the lessons we taught, the love we gave without expecting anything in return. Alua Arthur helps people prepare for death by asking them to think about their legacy, not in a material sense, but in a human one. What do you want people to remember most about you? How do you want your story to be told? And most importantly, are you living in a way that reflects that? The beautiful thing is, we don't have to wait until the end to shape our legacy. We build it every single day with every word, every action, every choice. And when we start living with that awareness, we create something that will last far beyond our final breath.